Hey, it's Ken Lewis. Welcome back to Audio School Online. So this tutorial is going to be on controlling acoustic guitars using unconventional techniques. And what I mean by that is I'm going to show you multiple ways to control unruly guitars using de-essers, using dynamic equalizers, and using a limiter. A bunch of different techniques I'm going to break down. It's going to be a short tutorial, but if you've never thought to do this to an acoustic guitar, your mind is about to be completely blown. Okay, so I have this guitar. Now, let me back up 1 second and say everything that I'm going to show you is song specific. This is not what you do to an acoustic guitar every time that you work with an acoustic guitar. This is only when you have an acoustic guitar in a song that has specific problems that you can't cure using regular methods. Sometimes these methods are absolute lifesavers, but this is not like this is how you do it every time. Okay, so we have this acoustic guitar, really aggressive, really attacky, really funky. Okay, cool part, but it's really percussive. And what if I have a song that I need to tame some of that percussion? I don't want so much of the pick attack hitting the strings, and I want more of the body of the sound of the guitar to fit into my mix. So I am going to use a de-esser. Check this out. Okay. Standard waves are de-esser. It's my favorite go-to de-esser. Any de-esser will work on this. They're all good. They all work. Okay, were you paying attention? So what I did, I have my de-esser set to split, so it's only affecting the upper frequencies. If it was set to wideband, it would be detecting only the upper frequencies but affecting everything. Watch what it does. But do you hear how that dips out too much when it's taking a chunk out of the entire frequency range? So you want to set your de-esser to split, and you want it to detect only the high frequencies. That's what this type knob is here. And I've got this set to about 6K. Just use your ears. You want it kind of above the general musical tone of the guitar, really where you get the harmonics off of the strings and the attack off of the pick hitting the strings. So it's kind of up in this range. And you just want to set your threshold so that you're ducking out just enough to calm your acoustic guitar back into your mix, so it's not just popping out so much, and it just evens out the top end and lets more of that tone shine through. You hear how bright it gets when it's when that de-esser is bypassed. Okay, next example. Completely different style of an acoustic, same technique. This sounds to me like they're probably playing with their fingers. So you get that really strong, like multiple attack of your fingernails hitting the strings really heavy. And you don't get as much tone out of the guitar typically when you're playing with your hand as when you do with a pick, which makes it even harder to control. Oops, hang on. All right, another de-esser. It's just the same technique on just a kind of a different set of variables. See, when you go too much, you can really take the essence of the guitar completely away, and you don't want to do that. Really, I just want to tame that. And if having that in your song works, leave it alone. You don't have to do this every time. But if that is like something that's jumping out at you, say, you know, you've got a vocalist singing, and every time the guitarist is smashing their strings with their hand, it draws attention away from the vocalist. That's not usually a good thing. And again, I'm trying to tame it. I'm not trying to completely get rid of it. It's kind of like just like de-essing a vocal. You're getting rid of the high frequency crap in the signal that is that you just have a little bit too much of and bringing it down to a more manageable place. Okay, pretty simple stuff so far, hopefully. Now I'm going to show you de-essing and then equalization. So I'll just put a de-esser across it. This will be my first step. So in this case, I'm kind of envisioning liking what the de-esser is doing, but if you have a situation where the de-esser is just a little bit too dark, if it's taking away a little bit too much of the top end, but it's taking away all of the stuff that you want to get rid of, then you can add some back after you de-ess, or even before you de-ess, and then that might help you lock in those de-essing frequencies. But I'm just going to put a Pultec. Now hear how nice and open that acoustic is now? It's really open and bright, but it's not like harsh and aggressive when those pick attacks hit. Now listen when I bypass my de-esser, how harsh the signal gets without the de-essing. Especially when he's doing those slow, where he's really scraping the pick across the strings, giving it a lot of that attack. You don't want to lose all that attack, you just want to control it. Next example, where did it go? Oh, here's a good one. This is actually the first time I thought about using a de-esser on a guitar was this type of a situation. I'll play it for you and then you'll instantly know what I'm going to go after. That big where, you're playing guitar and then the guitarist switches finger position really quickly and gets that scrape along the strings with their hands that gives you that, it's right here. Ugh. Now you could get in and do surgery on that and pull just that one scrape down, but what if you have a part that's happening 10 or 15 times in a song and you need to control it without making yourself crazy? And so this is actually how I came up with the idea of using de-essers on acoustic guitars, was this scenario. So let me try first with the high end and see if that controls it enough. Still an awful lot of that there. So I'm gonna focus in on just you could do this because it's such a spike, but a lot of times it's not that big of a spike. I'll give you a better idea for how to control this. So because that slide is so wide frequency, I can make my detector go way up high in the frequency range, and then I can go wideband on my mode. So it's only detecting, if you see where this red line is right here, the red line is only what it's detecting on the right side of the red line. Here is what it's listening for and reacting to. And the yellow line is the area that it reacts, that it controls. So this is controlling the entire bandwidth, and then this would be controlling like only here. So when I put my frequency range way up high, I'm only the detector is only hearing the top frequencies of those squeaks, but it's going to reduce the whole thing. So you see how it's not even touching any of the other signal except for that big loud squeak right there. So I'm able to really reduce those, and it's not, again, you don't want to get rid of those, you just want to control them so they don't rip your head off when they come out the speakers. So one more time with this, a wideband mode, but it's still a shelf detector, and the frequency's way up there. Okay, next. Here I'm going to show you how to use a notch de-esser. So you have a bunch of those little squeaks. Where the heck are they? Most de-essers have this side chain. If you've never listened to what the side chain tells you, the side chain is telling you what the de-esser itself is listening to and reacting to. So check it out when I listen on the side chain. Okay, so those squeaks are really, really right in the center of the mid-range. So I'm going to try using a split notch, I guess you'd call it. And I'm going to try and look for where those squeaks are loudest and then see if I can react to them. See, you see how I was able to use the detector to find right where the kind of the harshest part of the frequency of those in-between squeaks was. And if you're watching the de-esser work, it's only reacting when those squeaks are happening, and it's not touching any of the rest of the guitar. So you're pulling out a lot of those squeaks without affecting any of the guitar tone. Nice. Okay. Next, we have dynamic EQ. Oh, there we go. So I wanted to show you a cool trick with this. You know, one thing that I noticed about this acoustic guitar was, you know, it's a fingerpick style. And often this happens when you have a fingerpick style guitar, that the lower notes come out much louder than the higher notes, or vice versa. In this case, kind of the lower picking notes are really loud and the higher picking notes aren't so much. So you know, you could adjust that with an equalizer, but then you're really cutting into the body of the sound of the guitar. So I'm going to use a dynamic EQ, which is only going to it's going to react like a compressor and act like an equalizer. I'll show you what I mean. BX Dyne EQ. I've been using this forever. I also use this to remove snare bleed out of cymbals, and I have a whole tutorial on it on AudioSchoolOnline if you want to check it out. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if you don't know how to use this, you might be a little bit lost, but I swear if you play with it for like 15 minutes, you'll be a pro at it. It's really easy to use. So I'm guessing that frequency is kind of in the root of it is in like the 300-400 hertz range. So I'm going to go fairly narrow band at first and look for that frequency, and I'm going to boost it first so I know where it is. And this over here is what you're looking at. You'll see that red line, a real narrow cone kind of going up every time he hits that loud lower note. Okay, so this equalizer has this boost cut knob, so I'm going to cut. So first I was boosting to find the frequency, and now I'm going to cut that frequency out, and listen to what this does. It's really surgical. It's a little hard to tell. It's definitely reducing it, but maybe not as much as I would like. So let me try widening the bell that it reacts to a little bit and see if that helps. Listen to those first two notes. So yeah, it thins it out a little bit, but then if I want, after I've got my dynamic EQ dialed in, then I can put some of that frequency range right back. And it will also help the higher note. Let's see how this works. Okay. Hear how even when I put the EQ back from in a bell from where the dynamic is carving it out, it still keeps the volume of the two notes now more relative to each other, whereas the low note was much louder before. And this will allow me to shape the entire thing without really super compressing the whole signal. Alright, fun with dynamic EQs. Last thing is a limiter. I usually do not use limiters on acoustic guitars, but every once in a while it comes in really handy, and let me show you. So again, really aggressive playing might work great in your song, but if it doesn't, if that aggressive playing is jumping out a little bit too much, then and you don't have a de-esser to control it, my first choice would probably be a de-esser. But if you're having problems with that or it doesn't work, try a really fast attack, fast release limiter. So I'm going to go super fast release. It's instantaneous attack already. Now, if you watch the attenuation right here, you see it's only reacting when it's really digging in. So if I want this to be a much more even performance in my song, this is certainly one way to do it. You'll notice I'm getting much more overall volume out of the entire acoustic by reducing some of the attack with the limiter. Hear those lower parts of the chords coming up louder? Now, if you overdo it, it'll sound something like this. Would probably be terrible. Don't do that. Okay, I'm giving you a whole bunch of things that you probably never thought of. So check these out on your own, and next time you have an unruly acoustic guitar, try a de-esser or a dynamic EQ or a limiter on it or a combination of all, and see if you can tame it and get it to sit in your mix better. One more word of note, I'm running a mixing contest right now. This is May 2016, so you may be watching this 4 years from now. But June 5th is the final deadline of submissions. Submissions are pouring in. It's going to be a great contest, $6,200 in prizes. I am personally giving 30 handwritten mix critiques to the top 30 entries, 2 categories for amateur hobbyists, people who are just doing this for fun, and studio warriors who are really trying to make a career of this. So check it out, and also check out my new music school, AudioSchoolOnline, which teaches guitar, bass, piano, drums, voice, and music theory. All right, Ken Lewis for Audio School Online. Until next time, take care.